Hello and welcome back to the Nutrition Digest podcast. We are your hosts and registered dietitians. I'm Tara Valenti.
Alicia Kugler.
And I'm Summer Merrick.
We are here to dish up the nutrition tea, to debunk the myths, to inspire, to inform, and hopefully to entertain. Today, we're going to talk all about building muscle, which is something that we all talk about every single day with almost everyone that we work with, because building muscle mass, maintaining muscle mass, it's something that most people are trying to do. And if you're not trying to at least maintain your muscle mass, what are you doing? We're going to talk today about how to fuel for it, how to train for it, why it matters so much for your performance, for your body composition, and of course, for your long-term health. And we're going to answer some common questions about muscle mass too. And the answers might surprise you, so stick around for those. Mm-hmm. But first, we want to talk about tattoos.
Yeah, definitely want to talk about tattoos.
Yeah, Summer brought this up, and it's funny because I think we were on the same brainwave, because I was thinking about tattoos this morning too, and I was wondering if you were going to get any new tattoos, because that seems to be like your hobby lately.
I love it. I know, I really do love it, and I have about 55 that I want to get.
God, really?
Oh yeah, I have a whole Pinterest board of all the ones I want to get. I had a new idea too. This is not what I was talking about, but I was thinking of something on my back. I think that would be really cool.
Where on your back?
Well, I was thinking upper back, kind of maybe spread open a little bit so it goes over the shoulder blades, because I'm in tank tops a lot. Tank tops?
No tramp stamp.
I mean, I already have one. No, I don't. But that wasn't my random tattoo idea that I love so much. So check it out, guys.
Okay, I'm listening.
So I've been working a lot on body image stuff and self-confidence and, negative self-talk, and really kind of just owning this new future that I have, because my life has really shifted in the last year. And so I've been trying to think of a phrase that means something to me. And the phrase that keeps popping up is I am enough, right? So that's cool. But then here's the kicker. And no one steal this idea. Actually, I don't care. Go ahead, steal it. We'll all have it. We'll have a movement. I'm going to do it in Morse code.
That is really cool.
Yeah, Morse code on my forearm, my right forearm, right in the middle, so I can see it, or on the side, so I always see it, but it's I am enough in Morse code.
That's really cool.
Let's go.
And it's so subtle, because then not a lot of people know Morse code.
Just dots and dashes.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thanks. You can get it too, you guys. You're enough too.
Thank you.
Thank
What
you.
are you going to get?
Yeah.
So 2 tattoos I have in mind. So 2 of my very, very close friends are getting married in an outlaw wedding in Joshua Tree this year in April. So coming up.
Amazing.
And they are going to have a stick and poke tattoo artist not at the venue, on the day. It truly is an outlaw wedding. We're doing it in the desert, and not very many people are coming. It's really badass. But there's going to be a stick and poke artist there that week, and they're going to book time so that anyone who wants to get a tattoo can get a tattoo. And this artist is amazing, and everything is very black and red. So all black and then one pop of red. And they do a lot of desert themed work, so very appropriate for Joshua Tree, but also very California. And of course, California native, this is near and dear to my heart.
Right.
So I'm gonna get, if all goes as planned, I want to get a quail.
Oh, I love it.
And I also, A, it's our state bird. B, every time I see a quail or quails when I'm out on the trails, I freak out.
Me too. I love them. Are you going to get the Gamble's quail?
Yeah.
With the little top knot or whatever?
Yeah, the little thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that.
The artist often does just the quail head, but I want the full body. So
Cute.
I think I'm going to get that. And the other one I want to get with one of the couple, we both happen to just be really big shark nerds, and we want to get shark tattoos together. So probably going to get a shark also.
Oh, I love it. I always wanted a whale shark, because that's my favorite. It's my dream with scuba diving is to see a whale shark when I'm scuba diving.
Me too. I hear if you go to the Philippines, you can high chance of seeing them.
Yes.
That's really cool.
That would be amazing.
I want to ride on one's back, but I think you're not supposed to do
You're
that.
probably not supposed to,
I
but
have a feeling.
I would do that with you.
I would totally just be like,
Can we do that together? We can hold on.
I do have my scuba cert.
See? Let's go.
we go.
I'm almost a dive master.
Wow.
So,
Okay, cool.
let's go.
Okay.
do you have your scuba cert? Do you want to go
I've
scuba
been
diving?
in my life.
We are going to Mexico soon for a wedding.
I know.
You could go scuba diving there.
Yeah, I would go scuba diving over surfing, given my last incident with surfing.
Okay, that's a story.
Yeah. Black eye for one of my childhood best friend's wedding because Reza insisted on going surfing for the first time ever in the Pacific Ocean the day before my best friend's wedding.
Oh, and boy. He gave you a black eye, like with his surfboard?
The surfboard.
That's what I mean. I didn't mean you.
He lasted 5 minutes in the water and he was too tired because we took a red eye to Mexico and he decided to go to the shore and just chill and didn't tell me. And I'm out there fighting for my life, actually like putting an effort for it because like if I'm going to try this thing, I'm going to try this thing.
Right.
And then this big wave came and I should have dove off the board and I didn't. I stayed on the board, like laying on my stomach, and the surfboard got pulled out from underneath me and came back and directly hit me in the face.
Oh,
and it was the worst black eye I've ever had in my life. And it was really funny because it was like the day of my friend's wedding. Like my eye was almost swollen shut. And like I was pretty proud of myself because I did a pretty good makeup job that stayed for the wedding and the beginning of the dance. And then as the night went on, my eye progressively got blacker. And the next morning, the day after, we came for breakfast and I wasn't wearing any makeup. And so my friend's wife, all of her family is from Mexico. They were all sitting at breakfast and we came down and they were like looking at me, looking at my eye, looking at him, looking at me, looking at him. And I was like,
you're like, yes, he is responsible for this.
But not the way that you think.
Yeah. Not in the way you think.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, now you have the story and probably some fun pictures to share.
I'll show you someday.
With that. Yeah, I would love to see
We need to see that. Maybe we should post that on Instagram.
But anyways, getting back to today's topic.
Yes.
Muscle building. I know for all of us in our practice, we have, I don't know why, particularly like the male population that come in. Not saying it's all males, but I know for me, it's a lot of the male clients come in and they just want to put on muscle and they're like, I want to eat everything and get really big. And I know even the internet, there's a lot of bro science out there that it's just like, you eat big to get big and put on muscle. There's a lot of that misconception, but there's a lot more to putting on muscle mass and building muscle than just doing a quote unquote dirty bulk, just eating your weight in Oreos and protein shakes to put on muscle. And it's not just about lifting heavy, because there is more to that. And we'll dive into more about like the training specific side in a little bit. But Tara, I know there's a term that we hear on the internet when we hear about muscle building, especially from like more, I say the fitness, like, I don't know, I think of like Brett Contreras, like all those people, like hypertrophy is the term.
Yeah.
So for our listeners that don't know what hypertrophy is, what is it?
Yeah, I think anyone that is starting to get more serious about lifting and is starting to build muscle mass and is starting to maybe do their own research, or they're talking to a trainer, or they're starting to get kind of into the scene, they start hearing this word hypertrophy. And it can be confusing. A lot of people don't really understand what it is. So let's break it down. Let's talk about what hypertrophy is, what it actually means. So it's basically the increase in muscle fiber size. So if you think about your muscles, they are made of fibers, fascicles, and all these fun words that can increase in size from a certain type of stimulus. So this happens when the body experiences repeated progressive resistance through training. Sometimes this is called progressive overload. And you also are required to have proper fuel in order for that to take place. So even if you're training super, super hard, if you are not properly fueled, you're not going to see the same adaptations or the same increase in muscle fiber size as you would if you were properly fueled. So you need repair, you need adaptation, and then that is going to lead in turn to muscle growth. And some people have absolutely mastered this. This isn't necessarily about what some people would say is bulking up. It's actually a physiological adaptation to strength training combined with proper nutrition and recovery. And it does require consistent overload. So you have to actually challenge your muscles in order for this to occur. And what that means is more reps, heavier weights, or higher training volume over time. And this is where I see a lot of people struggling and confused. Some people have really awesome, consistent workout routines, and they're hitting it, 3-4 times a week, sometimes more than that, but it's the same thing every time for like years. And they're like, why am I not seeing changes? Why do I feel like I'm actually just maintaining or maybe even getting weaker? Because, well, the body is amazing. It adapts. It's gotten used to what you are exposing it to. It's gotten used to that challenge because it's not progressing. It's not changing. So you're not seeing the same stimulus that you were maybe when you first started. So even if you are exercising consistently and it still feels kind of hard, you might not be experiencing progressive overload. You might not be getting hypertrophy because the stimulus isn't enough to create that adaptation.
What about rest, Tara? Like, I know there's one other part of it is like we talked about the training and the food for hypertrophy. And then there's one more piece of the puzzle.
Recovery.
Yay.
Yeah, 100%. You're not going to see the same results if you are not recovering. This is where deload weeks come into play. I think that's an area where a lot of people have never heard of a deload week. They don't know what that is. So let's talk about a deload week. Basically, I'm actually in a deload week starting tomorrow. Basically, it is where you progress regularly, and these can be sprinkled in at different intervals. For me, I usually do them every 4th week is a deload week. So I will increase in intensity, duration, volume, whatever it is that I'm working on. And then on that 4th week, I'll have a deload week where I do a decrease in volume, a decrease in intensity. I'm not taking a full-on break. I'm not taking the week off, but I am reducing the amount of intensity in my training so that my body has a break so that I can experience those adaptations and really maximize the results that I'm going for. And then I jump back into my routine and I continue to progress. But also there's that day-to-day recovery that's so critical too. So what does that look like?
I think it's really important, like what you said, again, just to stress and go back, was the adaptation, that your body really does adapt. And I hear that and talk about that all the time with my clients. People are constantly disappointed in their lack of progress or whatever. But like you said, and again, I'm not trying to repeat it, I just think it's really important to stress to our listeners is that your body is this beautiful machine that really can adapt to what you're putting it through. So even if you're doing things like a lot of cardio, or your goal is to, I don't know, lose weight or whatever it is, and you're all of a sudden seeing this
Plateau.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. You're seeing this plateau and you can't figure out why because you're doing the same stuff. It may be because you're doing the same stuff.
Mm-hmm. Or you're doing too much.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yep. Trying to force it too hard.
Oh, I see that all the time.
So actually, before you move on there, what would be some indicators that you're doing too much? How would someone know if they're pushing too hard?
I would say one of the first things would be injury. Like you're getting hurt. I'm going through a lot of injuries right now. It's not because I'm doing too much, to be honest. It's because I used to do too much.
I'd say
In my previous life, I've done too much, and now I'm suffering. But I would say injury is a big one.
What about before injury? Because we want to prevent that, right?
Yeah,
like we want to avoid the injury.
Muscle soreness.
Yeah,
like
so aches and pains. Even like the lack of motivation to get into the gym. So that's one thing that I see with a lot of people. It's like you're motivated to get into the gym until you're not. And if you're doing too much, a lot of times those workouts become a lot harder mentally and physically. And it's just like you feel like you're just treading through like mud to try and get through your session. And like you're watching the clock and you're counting down the minutes. Like, yeah, for some people, they're not as excited about the gym, and that might be normal. But like if you're someone that all of a sudden this switches, like that's a big red flag.
Or if your workout all of a sudden becomes really hard, and it shouldn't be a super hard workout. Like the thing is, if you were, say, doing a chest press with 20 pounds and all of a sudden 20 pounds on each arm is hard when normally you can like smash it, that may be an indication that you need to take a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Or if you're exhausted.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That's another, really
Even
big
irritability.
key.
Yes.
Pardon me?
I was going to say
irritability.
Mood. For me, that's the first indicator that I am pushing too hard. I'm grumpy. I start to get kind of like testy and bitter about the fact that I have to like work out or do
Tara,
anything.
You're such a nice person. What do you mean?
Not when I'm pushing it too hard. I think part of it is like really being in tune with how you normally feel and if there are any changes, and if those changes are maybe negative, that's something to tune into, because overtraining or just even pushing it too hard overreaching can sometimes hinder the results that you want. And then worst case scenario, end up in injury, and then we're backsliding.
Yeah,
Right.
there's one more that I want to share that I think a lot of people don't recognize is sleep, and twofold for sleep. So for some individuals, if they're training too much, their body wants more sleep. So it's exhaustion in the day-to-day, but then it's like you go to bed at night, you sleep your normal hours, the normal quality, and in the morning, you're like, I cannot get out of bed, I need to sleep more. For other people, and what I've experienced in the past with overtraining, is I am wired at nighttime. I'm like agitated. I wake up regularly. I'm on edge. Like I know a few weeks ago, I caught myself in this, and then it was a few nights in a row where I was getting up every few hours, and like I was feeling on edge. That's the only way to describe it. And I was like, okay, so something is definitely not right.
Yeah.
And kind of taking this, it could be a sign to kind of take it back a little bit.
Systems on overload. Okay, so we hit some indicators that you might be overdoing it. And you talked a little bit about recovery in the sense that sleep is a really important aspect of recovery and can also send us a message. So if your sleep is dysregulated, you might be wanting to tune into that because it could be an indicator that either you're overdoing it, or if you're not getting enough sleep, that can hinder the recovery process. But from a nutrition standpoint, just kind of like rolling off of this topic, what are some ideal ways to support exercise recovery and muscle hypertrophy with nutrition?
Yeah, so the first one that I think we hear about a lot with muscle growth is protein. This is one that I think a lot of us hear. It's like, okay, you want to build muscle, eat more protein, eat more protein, eat more protein. So basically what eating more protein does is it stimulates muscle protein synthesis. That process spikes after you eat protein, and it lasts a few hours. So some evidence shows that it's like a 90-minute period, some people 2 to 3 hours. So it depends person to person in terms of how long that spike in muscle protein synthesis lasts after eating protein. And ideally, we're spacing our protein throughout the day to optimize this muscle protein synthesis response. So we're having 4 or 5 times in the day that we're eating 25 to 40 grams of high quality protein. So animal, soy, balanced, different types of sources. And I say 25 to 40, however, the calculation really is based on your body weight to optimize it. So we look at 0.4 to 0.6 grams per kilo of body weight per sitting. So say, for example, it would be like if you weigh 150 pounds, it would be like, I think it works out to like 28 to 43, something like that. Don't quote me on that math. I don't have a calculator in front of me. But if you're looking at like true calculations based on your body weight, we'd be looking at 0.4 to 0.6 per sitting. So if we're looking at grams per pound of body weight, if we're looking for like a rough amount kind of over the course of the day, it'd be 0.6 to 1 gram per pound of body weight over the day. But we want to think about that spacing. And I have some clients that have come to me and been like, well, Alicia, I find it easier just to eat 2 times a day or 3 times a day. Can I just eat like 75 grams over 2 times? You know, that protein over the 40 grams or over that 50 grams is not necessarily going to go to waste, but you might be missing a massive opportunity to actually spike that muscle protein synthesis response, which is what we're looking for.
Right.
And those large amounts of protein intake can actually suppress your appetite. So that could be taking away valuable space in your stomach from other macronutrients, which we'll talk about in a little bit, which are just as important to building muscle. More isn't always better. And sometimes actually with that extra protein intake, your body actually has to work harder to convert the protein into a digestible form of carbohydrate, gluconeogenesis, for all those kind of sciencey nerds out there, which is actually harder on your body. I think that's like very against what people would think in the day-to-day.
One question that I get asked all the time is, well, what's the maximum amount of protein that my body can absorb and utilize in any given sitting?
We say that 0.6 grams per kilo of body weight. So that would be your body weight in pounds divided by 2.2 times by 0.6 would be the amount that would be the optimal upper limit. So you notice how I'm saying optimal. Not necessarily that you're not going to absorb or utilize that amount above that, but we're not necessarily reaping massive benefits above that.
Right. And notice how we're customizing it based on body weight rather than a generic, 50 grams is the limit, period.
There is
so
no.
It's going to be different from person to person.
100%.
And part of that also depends on your activity level too, because your body is going to have varying demands for protein depending on how active you are. So if you are sitting at your desk all day long and then you go and you maybe do like a 15-minute light body weight workout, your needs are going to be a lot lower.
Yeah. So just running a quick calculation. So say I'm 77 kilos. So then if I were to kind of figure out what that looks like. So I would say for my body weight, the upper limit that I would want to have per sitting to kind of optimize the absorption, optimize muscle protein synthesis, and space it throughout the day would be 46 grams.
Okay.
And then like the ideal amount that I want to be targeting around would be half of my weight in kilos.
That's what you want to target for the whole day or for the one
sitting?
sitting?
For each sitting would be that kind of 38 grams per sitting spaced over 4 to 5 times would be my optimal. So then that would work out to being around 170, which would be like for me would be about 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein. But for other people, maybe they don't need that much. Maybe they can be closer to the 0.6 or 0.8 grams per kilo body weight.
What about for a person who is, let's say, hoping to lose body fat as well as put on muscle mass, and maybe their body weight is much higher than their ideal body weight? So say they have 50 pounds that they're trying to shed body fat wise. Would it still be ideal to base their protein targets on their weight? No, she's shaking her head. So mental note there to everyone who is hoping to lose body fat. If you are basing your protein targets on your weight, but your weight is much higher than you hope it to be or than your ideal body weight is, you're going to want to use a different strategy for that. That is a scenario where I would definitely recommend working with a dietitian and talking to us one-on-one, because we are experts in body composition optimization and giving recommendations that are going to be ideal for an individual based on their goals.
Right. And we've talked about this in another episode, but the way dietitians, the way we work with clients and break down your macronutrient goals is very different depending on what your goals are. So if you are looking to put on muscle mass and decrease fat mass, our macronutrient split or breakdown is going to be different than if you are looking to simply lose body fat. Or if you're looking to gain weight, obviously it's going to look a little bit different.
There's one more thing that I wanted to add about protein, though there is one amino acid. So amino acids are the byproduct of protein breakdown. We'll have another episode completely on protein that will dive into this in more details. But leucine specifically is the most ideal in terms of triggering muscle protein synthesis. So whey protein, eggs, chicken, soy, those are all going to be really leucine rich sources. And so spacing those throughout the day can really help to optimize muscle protein synthesis a little bit more. And the one thing that I would say is, like, I do have quite a few clients come in that are looking to put on muscle and they don't eat breakfast, which, you know what, not everyone's about eating breakfast, and that's fine. But I would say if you're someone that you are doing intermittent fasting and you're trying to put on muscle, go back to our intermittent fasting episode. We've talked about it, but I would say you might be putting yourself back in terms of trying to get enough nutrients in the day. We're not saying you have to go and eat like a 5-egg omelet with turkey bacon and Greek yogurt and eat a giant meal. Even just as simple as having a whey protein shake in the morning to kind of kickstart the muscle protein synthesis, it can do a lot for you in the day.
I have a client that I'm working with currently who is a female client trying to put on a significant amount of muscle mass. And they just started a new job and it's super, super busy and their schedule is just not what they're used to. And breakfast keeps getting missed in the morning. And it's making it really difficult for them to hit their protein targets. And that's one area where we're trying to focus on just getting anything in that has any amount of protein. I was like, literally a string cheese is better than nothing. Just get some grams in. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be 20 grams even. Just get something in, because you're right. If you really want this, if this is really a priority of yours, if this is a goal that you have, you're going to have to be strategic and you have to do things that aren't necessarily in your normal routine or that might be a little bit inconvenient in order to get you there.
I'm sure both of you have had the client that comes in. I know we've been talking about protein, but kind of taking a step back for a moment, that have said maybe they've been on a fat loss journey for a while or they've lost weight, and we're kind of telling them like, hey, based on your DEXA scan, maybe you should put on muscle, or maybe you should switch your goals. And we've had those clients that are like, well, why do I need to do that? I just want to be lean. We're going to have another whole episode on like the current trends toward fitness another day. But Summer, I want to hear from you, like, why is it important for them to actually prioritize putting on muscle mass?
Yeah, there's a lot of really important reasons why you want to increase your muscle mass. So number one would be metabolism. Muscle is metabolically active tissue. The more lean mass you carry, the higher your resting metabolic rate is. And if you have worked with a dietitian or anybody who has talked to you about your resting metabolic rate, basically it's the way that we can help you calculate your needs during the day. And it's how many calories your body needs at rest to function optimally. So the more lean muscle mass you have, the higher your resting metabolic rate is. That means you burn more calories just relaxing. So it's important. It's like an extra added benefit, you know? You get to burn calories at rest. Also, as we all know, athletic potential. More muscle equals more strength, more power, more resilience. It supports better joint mechanics. You have stronger movement patterns and improved performance. So it's good for all sport, basically. You know, I can't think of one sport where you don't need muscle mass. Body composition. Now, I hear this a lot with my female clients. They don't want to bulk. It's probably one of the things that drives me the most bonkers when I hear people say that, especially our ladies, because it is so challenging for women to bulk. You're not going to look like a massive bodybuilder by lifting weights, by increasing your muscle mass. But it does reshape your physique. You will have more long, lean body type. It may make you look thinner.
Perky butt.
You have a perky butt.
The beautiful like hourglass.
The hourglass shape. Your shoulders are broader. You look more proud.
Toned arms.
Toned arms, a nice physique and a nice back. And you'll look and feel leaner because as your muscle grows, your body actually reshapes to seeing, you know, your chest maybe grow or get broader. Maybe your waist comes in a little bit more. Your glutes get bigger. Your legs get a little more definition. And so all that's fantastic.
It's the only way to change your body shape without plastic surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I mean, that's really important to think about because I think a lot of people don't realize that. We're used to the really old school way of thinking that it's only about what the number is on the scale, right? The skinnier, the leaner you are, the tinier you are is the only thing that matters. And it's just not true. And that leads me to my last point, which is aging and longevity. So more and more science is coming out showing the benefits of gaining muscle mass to help us with aging and longevity. It is protective against age-related decline, osteoporosis, frailty, and injury. So hypertrophy helps prevent sarcopenia, which is muscle loss that happens with aging. So all of this ties in together with the benefits of increasing our muscle mass. So it goes beyond just our physical appearance, especially as we get older. And if you are a woman and you are going through peri or postmenopause, it's even more important as you get older, more important, and you want to start it early.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's more and more people need to kind of like recognize those benefits because so underrated, especially in today's day and age. And like, there's so many things working against you to want to build muscle.
We're sitting all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
We are so sedentary. Our jobs are stationary. A lot of our enjoyment or our excess time is spent in front of a screen and spent in front of the television, gaming, all that kind of stuff. So we're really putting ourselves at a disadvantage for our muscle health. And so if we can keep focusing on that, that's going to really help us not only now, but in the long term as well.
So we touched on the benefits, we touched on protein, we touched on kind of an overview of hypertrophy. But there's one other macronutrient that we need to kind of touch on that is important, kind of bringing it back to more the nutrition side, seeing as we're dietitians.
And this one holds a special place in my heart. It may be my favorite.
Yes. I wonder if the listeners can guess what it is.
I love pasta and pizza.
Bread.
And bread.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So just a side note, but related, my friend who I'm getting the shark tattoo with clearly knows me very well because they sent me a gift in the mail, surprise random gift in the mail. And it is a red corduroy hat with the word pizza embroidered on the front.
That's awesome.
Why are you not wearing it?
I almost wore it.
You should have next time.
I will bring it.
We should all wear our favorite hats for an episode.
No, and/or food-themed clothing.
Okay, food-themed clothing. Done.
I feel like it's the best part of my wardrobe, and I'm very excited to wear it. But on that note, carbs. So I obviously love carbs. Summer loves carbs. Alicia loves carbs. We're carb people over here. I was so proud of myself yesterday. I ate like 100 grams of carbs before noon.
Oh, I was like, why did you have so few? But that makes sense. Well done.
Yeah. Well, because I went on a run and I was on it. Felt really good. But anyway, so, and that was just the beginning, baby. But
sounds like a great day.
It was
great start.
It was. I mean, some of it was in the form of gels, which are not exciting, but nonetheless, some of it was in the form of a burrito. So now
if you guys didn't see this picture of the burrito,
you should be following Tara on Instagram.
That was an epic. It was like the size of her head.
I would say compared to like a Chipotle burrito, it was small, but it was really, I've gotten very good at the burrito game. I've been eating, I had one today. I've been eating a lot of burritos. But carbs. So one thing that does surprise people sometimes is that you actually need carbs to build muscle. I'm going to say it again. You actually need carbs to build muscle. So most people think that you have to layer on the protein. That's the primary focus, and carbs just kind of get forgotten. I see people focusing so much on protein and thinking that they have to minimize their carbohydrate intake because they don't want to gain fat. Guess what? You're putting yourself at a disadvantage if you are neglecting your carbohydrate intake when you are trying to put on muscle mass. This doesn't mean that you need to be eating carbs on the level of an endurance athlete. The requirements are a little bit different, but let's not forget that carbs are an essential component of building muscle mass and supporting hypertrophy, the vocab word of the day, so that you can get the results that you're aiming for if putting on mass is something you're hoping to do. So carbs are really the secret weapon for muscle building. They fuel your training sessions, especially your volume-based lifts. So if you have gone to the gym in the morning and you are fasted, or you only had a protein shake that had like no carbs in it, and you're feeling super low energy and not good and you're not performing well, you forgot your carbs. That's why you feel like crap. Carbs are the body's preferred source of energy. So you need to be coming to the gym fueled with some kind of carbohydrate source so you can push yourself and really maximize those workouts. If you don't have carbs in your system, you're not going to be able to push yourself as hard. You're not going to get the same results that you would get if you were actually adequately fueled. They also help to preserve muscle by reducing protein breakdown. So we always say carbs are protein sparing. This is what we mean. It's also critical to replenish your glycogen stores to optimize recovery. So we know that we store carbohydrates in our muscles and in our liver for later use, especially for endurance exercise, but any type of exercise. And if you are pushing yourself really hard, you deplete your glycogen stores. So that means that you're using all of your stored carbohydrates during your workout. Again, this is like for more intense workouts. And after that workout, you need to replenish carbohydrates so that you have energy for later. And not just like, oh, well, I'm also going to ride my bike this afternoon. Like, also, I need to use my brain later on in the day, and carbs are important for using your brain. I think most of us have experienced this before where you've like worked out really hard and maybe you didn't refuel very well afterwards, and you're just like not cognitively fresh. You can't really think very well. Definitely have been there before trying to like articulate sentences and it's just not happening. Needed carbs. Also, they carbs pull water into muscles, which can contribute to size and fullness. So a little bit of water retention in that area can make you look, let's call it pumped up, jacked, give you that kind of aesthetic look, swole. Yeah, that aesthetic look that you are going for. And so if you're really minimizing the carbs and you're trying to be like super low carb diet person, your muscles might look a little wilted.
Flat.
I like that. Wilted muscles.
Yeah, nobody wants that. That's not cute. So do yourself a favor, if you don't already do this, before you go to the gym, have some source of carbohydrate to fuel your workout. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. A banana is awesome. Like, you don't have to be creative here. I make these like homemade banana muffins that are delicious. And I love having one of those before a workout. It's like 150 calories, gets the job done.
Oh, yeah. Did you find that on the New York Times?
I did, and I modified the hell out of that recipe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I share it with clients all the time. Actually, speaking of my Instagram, that recipe is on my Instagram, and it's like a fan favorite.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to try it. I think I'm going to make it this week.
Optional to add collagen peptides for a protein boost. That's usually what I
I'm
do.
gonna do that too.
And you don't even notice it's there. Like, you can't taste it at all, and you just have more protein in your muffins now.
Perfect.
And then also a reminder to get some carbs in after your workout too. Most of the time we're focusing on getting protein in. Don't forget your protein. You got to get that protein in after your workout, but you also want to pair that with a little bit of carbohydrate to support the repair and to reduce your cortisol levels. So long story short there, don't be afraid of carbohydrates. I know we think only about protein when we think about building muscle, but this episode just changed that for you. So don't forget your carbs.
So we've talked about protein, we've talked about carbs. And I think for a lot of us, they're like, yeah, I just need to eat more protein, more carbs, have some supplements, and I'm gonna be good. But without proper training, especially resistance training, you're not gonna be putting on muscle. So we need that stimulus there. So I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I think we're all personal trainers. And then one area that I do is I do a lot of like programming help with people. And one of the biggest populations that I work with are people that are bodybuilding. So I work with a lot of different bodybuilders and some competitive bodybuilders, coaching them for show. And so I see a lot of common trends among individuals coming in when they're trying to put on muscle mass, that either they've been doing the same program, as Tara said earlier, for years and years, or they're going into the gym and they're doing a random workout each time they're in the gym, or they don't necessarily have the best split to optimize muscle growth, or they're not having enough rest. So kind of taking it back to basics, we talked about a little bit about progressive overload earlier today. So progressive overload means that you're going into the gym and you're doing a consistent plan program for a, let's say, 6 to 10 week period, whatever it is that you cycle through for a program, that you're doing basically the same movements week after week, but you're adding extra reps, you're adding extra sets, you're adding extra weight, whatever it may be, leveling it up week over week to challenge your body, or you're playing with tempo or pauses, time under tension, to increase the stimulus on the muscle. I have a lot of clients that have been training for years, so actually doing extra reps or sets or adding more weight isn't always realistic, and that's where adding things like tempo into the mix can be a really good stimulus, especially if you're someone who's injury prone, to still have that progressive overload. And then with this progressive overload, having those deloads regularly, whether it's every 4 weeks, whether it's every 8 weeks, to actually mentally let yourself recover, so it doesn't feel like you're constantly have to push more and more and more, and also physically let your body truly recover. So that's kind of like the larger picture of training. The next thing is making sure that we're being mindful of exercise selection and the split over the day. Going back to bro science, I don't know why I keep referring back to bro science, but that's what I live in a world where I deal with a lot of like bodybuilding, but also people that are just trying to get stronger and optimize body composition or performance athletically. They often will do a bro split. So let's say Monday is International Bench Press Day, chest day. Then Tuesday is back day. Wednesday is leg day. Then we have our shoulder day. Then we have our arm day. And then we have our ab day. And then we have our breast day. This is not even necessarily, this is not optimal. If you're going into the gym and you're destroying your chest and you're only hitting that once a week, you are missing so many other opportunities to hit that muscle group multiple times in the week to actually see volume. There is so much evidence to say that you're going to get more from actually hitting more volume on a muscle group over the course of the week, more frequency on that muscle group over the week, that you'll see more change in body composition. I'm not saying go in and train your chest or your arms every single day, but maybe you're doing chest and back, shoulders and arms, legs, and that's your 3 days, and then you're going to do an upper and a lower day, or you're going to do push, pull, leg, upper, lower. I'm not going to go too much into this because I could talk for hours on this topic and I don't want to bore everyone. If you ever have questions, feel free to reach out to me or anybody else here. We would all be able to help. But it's important to make sure we kind of change that, and maybe after 6 or 10 weeks or 12 weeks or whatever, you change the split, but we're making sure we hit more frequency on different muscle groups. When we're looking at rep schemes, usually aiming for somewhere in the 6 to 12 rep scheme for hypertrophy is going to be optimal for muscle growth. You can still build muscle mass in the very low rep ranges if you're, say, for example, doing like some strength movements like a squat, a bench, a deadlift, like powerlifting style, and then doing some hypertrophy work afterwards. But generally accepted in kind of evidence is 6 to 12. And then we want to make sure that we're thinking about recoverable volume. The one thing that I see with a lot of people coming in is when they're trying to get stronger, they're like, I have to go to failure every single workout. I need to push until I cannot lift this weight anymore. I feel like watching media with the old, like anyone's know Ronnie Coleman, CT Fletcher, all these like big bodybuilders, Mr. Olympia, you see them on their social media and they are killing themselves. Like even old like Arnold Schwarzenegger clips of like other people like helping him. So he's got like forced negatives. They're in the gym for like 2 hours, 3 hours in a session. That's not real life for most of us. And they're going to a point of failure, which means their body is so focused on just recovering that they have no space to actually build and put on muscle. We have to think about how much we're pushing. And for most of us, we need to be actually stopping just shy of failure. So like stopping like, hey, 2 to 4 reps left in the tank at different things, and not feeling like death when we leave the gym. We should not be crawling out of the gym because then our body, again, is focused on recovery versus actually building muscle. And also I would say like you don't need to be training 6-7 days a week. For a lot of us, when we're trying to put on muscle mass, you're better to train 3 or 4 days a week for like a full body programming than it is to be in the gym 7 days a week. Remember, you need that rest, you need that recovery, you need that downtime in order to put on muscle mass. So a lot there. One topic that we wanted to all touch on. So I've talked a lot about like strength training and like resistance training. And there's one trend that I think all of us have seen on the wonderful world of social media to get long and lean muscles.
Pilates?
Yes, and yoga.
Yeah.
So how do you both feel about Pilates and yoga being the stimulus to put on muscle mass and hypertrophy? Who wants to tackle this?
Here's the thing. So I'm a DEXA tech. I scan people. I've scanned hundreds of people and analyzed their body composition, looking at where they're at from a muscle and fat standpoint, etc. And I am at a point where I can almost tell what people's muscle mass is going to look like based on what they tell me they do for exercise. And when it comes to Pilates and yoga, consistently, those individuals have lower lean mass index. So your lean mass index is how much muscle mass you have compared to your height. And what we do where I work is we basically put you on a percentile graph and see where you're at compared to the population. And if the person is just doing cardio, I mean, even if they're not doing cardio, but what I usually see is they're doing a little bit of cardio, uphill walking on the treadmill, and they're doing Pilates.
With a weighted vest.
Sometimes with a weighted vest. They're doing Pilates and they're doing yoga. And they're under the impression that Pilates is going to help them to build muscle mass. And I'm here to tell you that it is not the ideal way to build muscle mass. Usually what I will see with those individuals is they're in the like 5th percentile, 10th percentile, sometimes 15th percentile. And if they want to build muscle mass, we have to have a serious conversation about strength training, lifting weights, getting that proper stimulus in so that they can actually build mass.
What about someone who's coming in and maybe they have a lot of injuries and they're kind of using yoga and Pilates to get back into movement? What do we say to those individuals?
I think that's great. Go get it. I also think there are some other different, maybe more targeted movements that they should be focusing on if they have a specific injury they're trying to come back from. And they should probably be working with a physical therapist and building in a very strategic and structured way and not just relying on Pilates and yoga for that.
Relying. That's the key word. It can be complementary.
Right.
Great for mobility, great for activation.
I like that you said that compliment, because I personally, and I know I'm just speaking for me right now, I look at yoga and Pilates like the cherry on top.
Exactly.
It's like bonus points, but that's not like your actual real workout that's going to get you toward your goals. It's just like nice to do. It's good for your core. That's great. You want to get some core work in? Very complementary to your other stuff that you have to get done.
100%.
But shouldn't be your only thing that you do.
Side note, when we were in Nashville, we all did a Pilates class together. Summer, what did you think of our Pilates class that we did?
Oh, I liked it, but I love Pilates. So I do want to say about Pilates, like, I agree. I think it is, in an ideal world, perfect if you want it to be a complementary exercise or form of exercise for your gym routine. But I will say this. We use Pilates to support us. When I was in Cirque du Soleil, we had our own private Pilates instructor. We were on the reformer all the time, and it's great. And not only is it great for symmetry, for core stabilization. For me, it was fantastic because I have such severe scoliosis that my center of my body doesn't feel like the center. So I spent so much time really, really focusing on body mechanics. But I will say, as a benefit, and we'll go back to the Pilates class, but as a benefit of Pilates, if you haven't been moving in a long time and you are new to movement, that may be a great first step.
Agreed.
You know, like, I don't want anybody listening to this thinking that we don't like Pilates or don't believe in yoga. I agree, it is not the best way to gain strength or build muscle. In fact, it is, in general, not really a good way to build strength or muscle, but it is a great way to start a practice, start with some body weight movements. Also, it's really good to complement any of your other exercise.
And it can be hard. It can be challenging.
It's really hard.
You can get your butt kicked.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
100%.
I think, and that's about our class. Like, it was pretty funny. All three of us came into it from a very different fitness training perspective. Like, I've done a lot of Pilates, but I'm very strong in my core and not very strong in my legs. And these two ladies next to me were just kicking ass in all the standing movements. Like,
but then as soon as I was in a plank, I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. My knees need to come down.
I mean, I couldn't believe it. My legs were shaking so bad. And these two were standing there like it wasn't even a big deal. And then for the core stuff, you know, that's what I work out a lot in doing. And some of the, like, maybe more flexibility movements, that speaks to me. Like, I love that long line, the long stretching out the legs and doing the big circles and everything. That just, like, that's my happy place.
I think Pilates is really fun. But since this is a muscle episode.
Yeah. I don't want to get too far off track.
Yeah. Like, I agree. I think it's important to note that, like, we all love Pilates. We did Pilates together. Like, we all think it's very fun. It can be challenging. You can get your butt kicked in a Pilates class. And at the end of the day, it's movement. And what we want to support is movement. Everyone should be moving in whatever way feels good for you. If you're trying to put on muscle mass, though, this is not the strategy you want to use.
Agreed. Completely
1000%,
agree.
yeah.
So one question that we do have, or that gets asked to us a lot when it comes to putting on muscle mass, is, do I have to eat more? And the answer is,
duh.
Yeah, you often do have to eat more, because if you want your muscles to grow, you need to fuel them. Muscle building is an anabolic process. That means it's a growth process. Chronic undereating or dieting can stall our progress. We kind of talked about that earlier. You need to fuel the muscles in order for them to grow. It can slow or impair the recovery, because if you're not fueling the muscles when there's these micro tears and whatever, they're not going to grow and they're not going to recover optimally. And then you'll have that delayed soreness, and it can reduce your energy for training. So that's something that, I often talk to my clients about is when they don't want to eat before a session or they don't usually eat breakfast. And I get that. I'm not really hungry in the morning. I will challenge them to at least try and have something with some carbs in it. It could be a banana. It could be a piece of toast and some jam. It could be, a protein waffle with a little honey on it, whatever. But put a little something in your system and then do your workout. Compare it to how you feel when you don't. Get back to me and let me know if you had more energy. And if you have more energy, chances are you're going to push a little harder. You may be able to go a little bit heavier, and you'll have better performance, which equates to better results and more muscle growth. So eating more doesn't mean like letting go. It means fueling strategically to reshape your body, not just shrink it. So again, we can still focus on that fat loss while also focusing on the muscle gains.
You also might notice if you're fueling properly, if you're actually maybe having a piece of toast before you hit the gym or whatever it is, that you have less cravings later on throughout the day. You feel less ravenous later on. You might be less likely to eat all of your calories after 8 p.m. because you can't control yourself anymore and you're just like going crazy. So it can help to just balance out your appetite a little bit more if you're not over restricting when you're pushing your body.
So I have a few questions that some listeners have asked us about that I wanted to, kind of put out to our group. So the first one is, can I build muscle while eating at maintenance?
Yes. I would also kind of caveat, are you a new lifter? Are you an experienced lifter? Are you male? Are you female? Are you younger or are you older? So
that's
all of those are kind of like, because in short, yes, you can. It's a very slow process, but you can build in maintenance. A lot of evidence shows that males are going to build muscle at maintenance a lot easier because of the testosterone levels being a lot higher versus females. It's going to be a lot harder to put on muscle mass in maintenance because our energy needs and our equilibrium is a little bit harder to balance. Also, if you're someone who is a more experienced lifter, you're going to have a lot harder chance building muscle in maintenance than if you were a new lifter. Oh. There's the beautiful term of newbie gains. So if you are new to the gym, new to lifting, or you've taken a long hiatus from lifting and you come back to lifting, you can be eating at maintenance and put on muscle mass. Hell yeah. If you've been training consistently for a while, being in maintenance, you're probably not going to notice a substantial change. So that's where maybe going into a little bit more of a surplus, increasing your calories a little bit, increasing protein, carbs, fats, all of it can actually help to put on muscle mass a lot better.
And if you have questions, reach out to a dietitian.
Exactly, 100%.
Okay, next question. What if I don't want to get bulky?
Okay, we kind of addressed this one before, but I feel like this is one of the things that anyone who works in the fitness industry wants to talk about because we roll our eyes so hard whenever someone says that. Usually it's inside, internally, we're eye rolling and we just take a deep breath and answer the question again for this 1,000th time. It is so hard to get bulky. It is so hard to get those like big, giant, thick muscles. Sometimes people have genetics that cause them to be shaped a little bit differently. They might be more likely to have that body type. You probably know if that's you, but for the most part, I would say getting bulky is not something you should ever be afraid of. And why would you stunt yourself because of that fear? So you're afraid of getting bulky, so you're going to stay weak and frail. You want to be not strong. You want to not be capable. You don't want to have functional fitness. To me, there's just a disconnect there.
Right.
You don't want to be able to beat up a guy in a fight that if he chases you into a back alley.
You don't want to be able to do basic things. I feel like keeping your own level of foundational fitness is very, very reasonable. We want to support bone density. We want to support a good metabolism. We want to support having and maintaining muscle mass throughout every stage of life, including perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. bulky should not be something you're afraid of. A, it's probably not going to happen to you. It doesn't happen to most people. And you would have to be in the gym like Arnold Schwarzenegger level in order for that to happen. And I'm guessing you're not going to be able to do that because most people can't just quit their jobs to work out 24/7.
And usually with like anabolic substances
I was just going to say,
or peptides.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think this question actually may have been coming from a male who's an endurance athlete that was advised to increase their muscle mass because of injuries. And they were afraid of getting bulky because they were an endurance athlete. And they're like, if I get bigger and put on muscle, am I not going to be heavier? And therefore, is that going to impact my sport? And I think their question in the next one is also from the same individual who's an endurance athlete that was told to put on muscle because of stress fractures.
Okay, so we'll ask the next question, and then Alicia, maybe you want to speak to it. Is it okay to do cardio while trying to gain?
Yeah. It's just, it comes back to how much you're eating. I think we see this big insurgence of the new hybrid athlete, the Nick Bears of the world. Shout out Nick Bear. I once saw him from afar and I was like, wow,
really?
He's so cool. But you're seeing this insurgence. It used to be this age-old
You can sponsor
fear.
us, BPN supplements.
Exactly.
I just got some Go Gel.
Yeah. So it used to be this age-old myth that like, if you are trying to put on muscle, you should avoid all cardio because it's going to make you lose all your gains. And that's not the truth. If you're
cardio eats your muscles.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
And you can only walk at a high incline to lose body fat. You can't run.
Oh,
I think we're seeing that big shift, which is good.
So I think we answered that yes, it is absolutely.
You just have to make sure you're eating enough.
You
That's
have
the
to
thing.
eat. You have to eat
And
a
you
lot
maybe
of food.
should work with a dietitian to make sure you're guiding that.
And then finally, now I get this a lot, and I have a hard time when people ask me this as a dietitian and also as a personal trainer. How much weight should I be lifting for muscle growth? Now, I get this a lot. I do a lot, or I would say the majority of my coaching for nutrition online. And personal training, it's a little bit different. But when I am talking to a nutrition client and they ask me, and they ask all the time, well, how much should I be lifting? And I have to tell each and every one, I don't know you in the gym yet. Like, how can I tell someone I don't know what they should be lifting? I get it in my group fitness classes all the time. What weight should I lift? And it's just not that simple.
No,
just
it's
like
not.
nutrition.
Yeah. Well, even like you've worked with me from a coaching standpoint. You've kind of interacted with me in that standpoint.
Yeah.
The number of coaching calls I get onto and someone's like, I don't know how much I should be lifting. And I'm like, well, this is a new movement. I have no clue how much you should be lifting. I can give you ballparks based on other movements, but you have to get into the gym.
Yeah, we can't tell by looking at you.
Yeah, I have a magic ball that's telling me you should be lifting 50 pounds for this movement.
So what I will say is this, and the way I normally start or answer that question with someone who I am not familiar with, I am not doing any sort of personal training, I don't have experience with them in that particular movement. What I will say is go lighter than you think for the first set. Just try it. And then you want to slowly increase your lift. And that, again, if you really don't know how and by what percentage you should be increasing your weight, that is a telltale sign that you should be working with somebody. You know, if you're really looking to gain muscle and want to really put on muscle mass, it is very different than our regular gym goer or group fitness athlete who can go in and it doesn't really, not that it doesn't matter, but you're not focusing. You can increase by 2 pounds if you feel strong. I felt good in my class that I taught this morning, so I increased my overhead press by 2.5 pounds. I felt good today. But if you are looking to really commit to gaining muscle, work with a professional, work with somebody like Alicia who works with bodybuilding, anything like that. Work with a personal trainer who can help you gain muscle mass in a safe and effective way.
Or I have fallen into this boat before in the past where I've been working out in a gym since I was like 14 years old. I know my way around the weight room, but putting together a program and making it structured and strategic so that you do achieve the goals that you want is very different than just going to the gym, hitting the weights and getting a good workout in. That's great. But if you really want results, and especially if you want them like within a given time frame, you're definitely going to need to get more structured and strategic. And it's really nice to have someone who really knows what they're doing, put that plan together for you for a million reasons.
Absolutely. And the first time I ever had a personal trainer was when I was living in Australia. That was last year. I never worked with anyone, and I've never seen results in the way that I wanted to. When I was performing, it was very, very different, and I had coaches. But when it comes to lifting, because I didn't have a lot of experience lifting heavy, I needed some guidance to know how to program for myself. Like, I have been a personal trainer for 13 years, but that doesn't mean I know how to program for heavy lifting or using a squat rack when that's not been my experience.
Right.
So again, can't stress enough the importance of coaches, not only for sport or for lifting, but also for your nutrition with a dietitian or someone who does them both, like us.
Yes.
So I know we did a little bit of a deeper dive today and spent a little bit more time in this topic. We're obviously very passionate about it, and we spend a lot of time in this world talking about building muscle mass and helping people to do that. So if you know someone who would benefit from this episode or you found it to be interesting, please share it. Please follow us. We are trying to grow this thing so we can keep talking to you and getting into your ears more regularly. So just to wrap it up, we know that hypertrophy is an absolute game changer for your health, for your strength, and for aesthetics. It looks good to have muscle mass. The key factors here to focus in on are to strength train 3 to 5 times per week and to not do the bro split. Nutrition is just as important as training when it comes to performance, whether you're trying to focus on hypertrophy or endurance or whatever it is. You cannot have performance without fuel. That fuel piece of the puzzle, that nutrition piece, is absolutely critical. Make sure you prioritize protein at every meal and snack, and make sure that you also eat carbs because we have to fuel those hard sessions. Don't skip your post-workout recovery. Listen to your body. It sends you messages. Sleep, manage stress, and just know that muscle gain does take time. You have to chip away at it. It's not going to happen overnight. It can be a very slow, frustrating process, but you have to stick with it. With the right strategy and structure, it is absolutely achievable for every single one of us, regardless of your age or life stage. Like I said, share this with a friend if you found it to be helpful, and thank you for tuning in.